Fam, what's up? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube, along with my panelists. We got JERICK way up in Buffalo. We got Sean up in Huntsville, two of our best callers. And we're going into the 2023 season. Alabama will begin practice on Thursday. We also have a media opportunity with Coach Saban on Wednesday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll be bringing all the coverage right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. How the show is going to work today, I'm going to turn it over to JERICK and Sean, and I'm going to have these guys talk about the Alabama defense. We're going to break it down. Tomorrow night, we'll talk about the Alabama offense, maybe. We'll see how the show does, and I want to hear from you inside the comment box. Without further ado, JERICK and Sean, you guys take it away. JERICK is leading point for us tonight, and Sean be the analyst. These guys are going to talk Alabama defense. Let's get it going.
All right, fellas. So today, I definitely want to talk to you guys definitely about the transfer portal. Like, what are going to be some impactful players when it comes to the transfer portal? Because, all of a sudden, guys, the transfer portal, it has become extremely important as far as winning national championships. I think we all definitely know this. So talk about the transfer portal real quick, Sean, as far as, what are going to be some key positional players that you think that are going to make an impact for this defense?
Personally, man, I really am excited to see the guys on defense. I'm excited for the secondary guys, Amos and the young man who's playing safety. I don't think Coach Saban would have brought those guys in if they weren't going to have a role. I know we're just on the defensive side of the ball, but obviously at the quarterback position. But for me, the two most important guys is the guys in the secondary. I think Terrion Arnold is going to have a great season returning, but we need depth, man. If Terrion or Kool-Aid gets hurt, we don't have any really depth. We don't have any playing time depth. We have Earl, Little, all these guys are outstanding players, but they hadn't played. They have not played. So I think bringing in Amos and bringing in the young man who plays safety, I really believe those guys are coming in to play. These guys are dogs. They have a lot of experience between the two. And I really think those guys, as far as the transfer portal is concerned, I think those guys were huge pickups. When you look at those guys' lists of teams that were interested in these guys, pay no attention to where they came from. Pay no attention to the schools these guys came from. Look at the list of schools that were interested in these guys. I think that alone should tell you that these guys not only have talent, but they were brought here to play.
Yeah, and we haven't had a dominant secondary since 2017, right? 2017 is definitely one of the more underrated guys. Yeah, because you had Levi Wallace on one side, you had Anthony Everett coming on the other side, and then you had Minka and Rodney Harrison. You had so many underrated guys from that defense. And then ever since then, it's kind of like, we've been lacking depth from 2018 onwards, even 2020, even with Patrick Surtain. Like, still for the most part, Josh Jobe did his job pretty well, but for the most part, we still had a lot of youth. So no, I completely agree with you, because we got to take a look at the 2023 year. We don't want 2020. We don't want 22 happening. We don't want a season where Jalen Hyatt is literally running a 9 pretty much all game long, and we can't stop it. So no, we need depth. We need depth, and I'm very interested in Kevin Steele and how he's going to run this defensive set with these particular players, because then you look at it, then you look at the guys like Howell, a key and some of these other guys that can play on the outside. How is that going to transition with some of the other players as far as what sort of offenses we're going to, what sort of offense we're going to be playing? Because remember, there are going to be those key elite offensive groups. Hugh Freeze with Auburn, they're going to be a different animal as far as their offense, and they're going to bring a tempo that honestly we're kind of used to, but we haven't found that success of stopping some of these elite offenses. LSU for the most part should be a lot better. They got a lot more depth there. A&M should be a lot better with their 5-star quarterback and some of the key offensive pieces that they kind of bring, like an Evan Stewart. So no, I completely agree. We need Amos and we need Key to step up really big for us, because even though yes, you have guys like a Christian Story and you have a Terrion Arnold and some of these other guys there, for the most part, how much confidence and how much stock do we really have in these guys right now? I'm just not too sure. So they bring experience. They bring a lot of experience, but I'm very interested to see, how these guys are going to transition, and especially from an experience and leadership standpoint, if our secondary can definitely transform and if we can get back to that 2017 level.
Exactly. We really hadn't had a great secondary since then, man. We've been tested ridiculously, almost laughable at times, giving up. I think the Tennessee game for me was probably the worst I've ever seen for a coach to use the space like that And for a coach to pick on a safety like that, man, to key on one player like that and to run the same route multiple times and to beat this guy on out and ups on 9 routes. And,
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall Alabama secondary ever looking quite that bad under Coach Saban. I don't know what shocked me more, us giving up those touchdowns to the same player or us not being able to adjust to it. So what does that speak to? I don't know if that speaks to the talent. I don't know if that speaks to the scheme. But as I said, bringing Amos and Key in, these guys will have a role in some shape, form, or fashion. We got to get these guys on the field because the secondary has been one of our Achilles. So, for me, everybody. It's enough blame to go around. It's enough blame to go around. Everybody's
Oh
culpable.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, Kool-Aid, to me, Kool-Aid is an outstanding man corner, press corner. But I think Kool-Aid's going to be tested. I think a lot of teams with a quarterback that's not quite as devastating will stay away from Kool-Aid. But I do think the teams like Texas with a quarterback that can toss that thing all around the field, I think they're not going to stay away from him. I think they're going to test him. So we got to have that secondary right, man. That drives me bananas, man, to see balls going over your head like that. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
stand that, man, especially with 2 safeties deep. To give up deep balls with 2 safety high, playing 2 high safety is ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And for a coach to pick on us like that with not a huge playbook, with running basically the same play, it's asinine. And I don't know if my mental can take that for another season.
No, we definitely need to definitely improve on that. But a position group that I'm fully confident that we're going to improve in is inside linebacker, and that's definitely what we're going to talk about real quick, guys. What do you think, Sean, about the inside linebacking group? Because at least from my personal opinion so far, I think that this is the deepest talent-wise. I'm not saying as far as players, they have to prove it on the football field, but as talent goes, this is a deep roster as far as you're looking at the inside linebackers. What are your opinions on the inside linebackers and how they're going to progress moving on to 23?
I think this is an exceptional inside linebacker room. The only thing I will say is, again, the experience is not there. But when you look at the individual talent, this may be the deepest inside linebacker room that I think this room is actually more deeper than when we had Ruben and Sean Dion and all those guys. Not experience-wise, but when you look at Jefferson, when you look at Jaheed Campbell, man, I seen that guy on another show. It looked like this guy's put on about 20 pounds. I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. So to have these guys, to have Deontay coming back, these guys they have talent, man. They have talent. And I honestly don't know who's going to start. I really don't. These guys are the young man from Texas, from Duncanville.
Blackshire.
Yeah, man, that guy looks like the Incredible Hulk out there, man. To bring in Trez Marshall from Georgia. And people forget, man. People forget this point. There was a time when Trez Marshall was in the starting rotation at Georgia. He lost his job because he got hurt. This guy is talented. He's talented. He's physical. He can run. The scheme is not that different than what he ran at Georgia. So, pick up a quarter, pitch a quarter, and tell me who's going to be your starters. I think each one of these guys brings different skills. I think Jefferson is more of your sideline guy. The guy's fast. Trez and the young man are thumpers. These guys will clog holes. The linebackers in our defense has got to be the playmakers. So you can't have flimsy linebackers, which has been our problem the last 2 years. When I look back at that LSU game, when I look back at that the Tennessee game, to see the rushing yards that those guys put up against us, man, was disturbing. It was disturbing seeing our linebackers getting knocked backwards. It was disturbing seeing our linebackers not physical at all. These guys were not no aggression, man.
No aggression.
That was extremely disturbing for me because the defense that we run here at Alabama, if you do not have aggressive linebackers, the defense will not work. You can pass rush all you want. Running that type of defense, if you don't have linebackers to make plays, you're going to give up some plays. You're going to put everybody in a bad situation, put the secondary in a bad situation. So you got to have linebackers to, be aggressive and set the tone out there. That's what made us different when Ruben and Reggie was there. when Rashawn Evans was there, when Mac Wilson was there. That's what made us different, man. We had middle linebackers that did not mind coming downhill, putting a hat on the hat, and making you pay for it. Lately, we hadn't had that. So as far as the depth we have right now, it's inexperienced depth. But I'd much rather have this problem. We have a good problem. We call that's those good kind of problems. So, pitch a quarter, and who do you think gonna start?
Yeah, exactly. And then you have a player like Sean Murphy,
Yeah,
the amount of five stars, the amount of 5 stars that we have on this inside linebacking class alone, it's the deepest in the country.
Facts.
And there is no excuse at all if this position group doesn't change. That's why I have a lot of confidence in it. There's no excuse.
Right,
To have a 5-star in exactly. To have a 5-star like Deontay Lawson, Trezvon Marshall, again, you said before. That's a dude that's been a part of 2 national championship teams, and that's been a part of that inside linebacking rotation.
Exactly.
Then you have a Campbell and Blackshire that even though they're not they're still a little bit raw. Like these are guys that for the most part, these are guys that have been behind the scenes. These are guys that for the most part they're project guys. But you look at a Perkins from LSU. These are the type of players I believe can play that exact role. These are guys that again, if you want to like very similar to Rashawn Evans, like Rashawn Evans was one of those key dudes, and Dante Hightower, but Rashawn Evans, again, for the most part, early part of his career, you just lined him up on the outside and let him get after the quarterback.
Exactly.
But no, I'm extremely excited to see what Campbell and Blackshire, as far as what they can use in blitzing and again how they can plug those holes, bring that Reggie Ragland type of mentality to the defense. It's like this room is extremely deep. It's too much talent to just waste if we're just running these complex defenses or again to have another Henry situation where again Henry's not a bad player, not at all. He's a solid sideline to sideline linebacker. Guy can track, guy, play recognition was really, really good, but he just could not plug the holes consistently.
Right.
It was times where he would just avoid, like if he simply can just plug the hole, it's a 2 to 3 yard gain. Instead, it's a 7-8 yard gain. Perfect example, the Tennessee game, where it was just where we had to rely on Henry because they're splitting us out wide. And for the most part, Henry, it's his job. You have to plug, and he's not doing it. So we need these guys to definitely step up. But of course, also in pass coverage situations, we also need to have an improvement there as well, because that's an area that we just haven't really good in since 17. So we got to get back to that fortitude. I completely agree with you. We need to get to that aggression overall wise. And no, this group it's extremely talented, very talented, and we cannot waste it for this year. Not this year, because next year with this room and this amount of 5 stars, this room is going to change. A lot of these dudes you could see end up in the transfer portal, and we may have to try to recycle and try to and do it. But it's only so much you can do without really utilizing the talent to the best of your abilities.
Exactly. I know if I seen it on film, I know opposing coaches did. No disrespect to Henry at all, but he just really, really, really had problems filling. These guys would run off tackle, and he couldn't get off blocks fast enough. I seen Jalen Moody feel quite a bit, but Moody was sort of a liability in pass coverage.
Exactly.
His drop, he got picked on in the short routes a lot. So I'm very, 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 very excited about this inside linebacker room, and I'm really, really, really interested in seeing who are the day one starters. Who is the first group? It's going to be interesting because that first game, as we all know, is not Texas. I want to see who gets reps because that next game is coming up. I don't think Coach Saban is going to do a lot of switching because I think he wants to get these guys comfortable for that next game. The coach that we play on that next game, he's very familiar with our defense. As we all know, he knows how to attack our defense. This guy, he pattern matching doesn't work against this guy. It does not work against Coach Sark, man. Motions, he hides things, a lot of window dressing. So the middle linebacker spot is going to be exceptionally important. And I'm extremely anxious to see which 2 guys take the field first.
And speaking of day ones, we got to talk about Caleb Downs because we just talked about the secondary a little bit earlier and how that needs to be helped. Now you have a player like Caleb Downs who is bringing Minkah Fitzpatrick type vibes, maybe bringing in early COVID year Malachi Moore vibes as far as how much of a ball hawk he was, and he still can definitely be that ball hawk for us. But what do you think about Caleb Downs? What are some of the realistic expectations that you kind of have for him for year one, and just overall wise his impact that he's going to bring over to the team?
Man, listen, I could talk about this guy for hours. I have said for so long, man, I'm talking about back in the Landon Collins days. It's okay to have that inbox safety, that thumper, the guy that's going to come down and aid run support. But in this day and age, with the 5 receiver sets, with guys lined up all over the field, you have got to have a safety that can play pass coverage. DeMarco Helms, he was a thumper. He'd knock your block off. We all know that. But on the hashes and off the hashes in pass coverage, he got picked on quite a bit, man. And that's no disrespect to that young man because he's an absolute awesome player. In this day and age, in 2023, you have got to have a safety that can play pass coverage.
Yep.
And I think Caleb Downs is the best of both worlds. I've been on this kid for 2 or 3 years now. If you go back on this show, at least 2 seasons, I was talking about Caleb Downs, kid from Georgia. This kid can cover a lot of ground in a hurry. He can defend the pass. This kid can come down and is not afraid to lay you out. He is the best of both worlds. I love the Minka Fitzpatrick comparisons because this kid reminds me of Minka mentally, physically, and obviously Coach Saban loves him. So I'm ecstatic about having this guy in the lineup. I don't think you're going to be able to expose him to simple pass routes. I don't think he's going to fall for the okie doke on simple things. Obviously, he's a freshman. Obviously, he's a young guy. So he'll have his ups and downs. But it won't be blown coverage ups and downs. It won't be missed tackles ups and downs. I think, Caleb will be, he'll have his ups and downs as far as the complexity of defenses on the other side, as far as checking teams like Auburn that run up tempo, LSU, catching these guys with their back in coverage and the quarterback taking off. Things like that normal cornerbacks miss a step on. Caleb, to me, man, with no disrespect to no other safety on our roster, to me, Caleb Downs has got to be in that lineup, man. He's got to be in that lineup, man. And I'm praying that kid gets his opportunity.
It's there was a comment a little bit earlier about, we all know how great Derek Stingley was in LSU. One of the best things about Derek Stingley was that he literally came into practice during bowl prep against Burrow, against Chase, against Jefferson, and he was the best cornerback right for day one. Do you think Caleb Downs, do you think he's in that same tier? I'm very curious because I saw a comment like that. I'm thinking to myself, Caleb, like you just said before, that's a player that's been hyped for years, right?
Yeah.
This is not like he just came out of nowhere like last year and that got the 3-star rating, and then all of a sudden these recruiting sites got them as a 5-star. No, he's been a 5-star caliber talent since his freshman year. So do you think he's in that line as far as having those huge expectations as a freshman, since again a lot of us probably consider him a phenom?
I do, man. I do, and I'll take it one step farther for you. I think he's more aggressive than Stingley was against the run. I think Caleb is a more physical player. I think Stingley's pass coverage skills were second to none, even at a young age. Stingley's pass coverage skills was exceptional. I would have to see Caleb in a one-on-one situation to compare him to Stingley in that regard. But as far as the physicality, I'll take Caleb all day and twice on Sunday. You know what I mean? Stingley was an exceptional talent, man, to come into an absolute talent-filled room of anything at LSU at that time. These guys had first rounders everywhere, just like we did that same year. And for this kid to walk onto that field and, have the success he did, it just speaks to what kind of player that kid was. But I do feel Caleb Downs is in that same mode. I think Caleb brings that same type of talent level, skill level, smarts, and learning the scheme. I think Caleb brings all of that to the table, man. I really, really, really do. And what I'm hoping what this class is going to do, and this is no disrespect to any older Bama player, I really hope we get back to the days when the freshmen come in and they're so good that they push the veterans. Yes. I remember back in the early Coach Saban days, every class that came in, man, they was pushing the veterans. They was pushing these guys. So the competition level in practice, I'll never forget a story that Bo Scarborough told. And he told a story where these guys, the offense were taking the field. And Jaron Reed would scream over to Bo, "We about to kick y'all's you-know-what today." And Bo would tell him, "Nah, it won't be none of that." So it was competition in a good way. It was high competition. Nobody had anxiety. Nobody was afraid of the moment. Nobody was afraid to I guess, hold the other player accountable. You know, you got to have those sheriffs on the field, man. You got to have those guys going to get in a player's face and ruffle some feathers, and can't be afraid to do that, man. So I'm hoping this class puts the pressure on the older guys. Either you come with it or put me in the game and let me do it for you, respectfully.
Yeah, and Caleb Downs, let me say, he's a dog. I think he's going to be
Yeah.
playing for day one. Because I look at some of the other safety position groups, and again, like you just said before, there's no disrespect to a lot of the
Right.
older veterans, but we haven't seen anything. This is a guy from
Right.
Caleb Downs, at least from spring, that is extremely competitive. And not just that, but then you look at some of the other safeties as well, like a Jake Pope and some of these other guys that we've normally, or again, they're second, third string guys, talented. They've automatically, it's like it's a different feel, it's a different vibe. So maybe this freshman class has been here, because again, every year there's a freshman class that's like, we're going to be the dogs, right? We're going to be the alphas.
Yeah.
We're going to be the ones that's going to continue the dynasty. We're the ones that's going to resurrect it. Very rarely does it happen, right? It doesn't really happen that much from year one. Bama has shown the ability to do it before. They've shown it. The 2017, the 2016 class, notorious for doing it. 2015 class was you can make an argument, was definitely up there. The 2008 class was the one that changed the trajectory of the program. 2020 had some impact guys, Moore and Branch, but Caleb Downs just seems like he's on a different level. And honestly, I'm extremely excited to see that kid play. But making that transition on, because speaking of defensive expectations, we got to talk about murder ball, because this is the term that's now been brought up a lot of times, and it's all about bringing that murder ball back. So Sean, kind of talk to the viewers that maybe don't know what murder ball is. And do you think that this defense for this year is capable of bringing that murder ball, that mentality back to this defense?
When coach says murder ball, the players say murder ball, especially the players. When they say murder ball, it's not offensive lineman zone blocking. It's not RPO, offensive line blocking. How can I explain it and put it in layman terms? Let's just say it's man on man, mano y mano, hat on a hat. That is that is the best way I can describe downhill, opening holes, physicality. You can run it out of any formation. Just because it's out of the shotgun, don't think that's not a physical formation, because with the H backs nowadays and the motions, and it doesn't really matter the formation. Running off tackle, running off guard. On 3rd and 1, we're not RPOing it. We're lining up, running downhill, running right at you, making your linebackers come up, making your linebackers play, testing your defensive line, being physical at the point of attack, 7 on the line of scrimmage and coming right at you. Period. Let's see if you really want to play football today. And I think we got away from that, man. I think having a great quarterback like Bryce, and this may sound real crazy, but to those that know, having a great quarterback and an RPO quarterback sort of hurt us. It sort of hurt us. It made us a lot. It made us, how can I say, finessey. Made us a lot of finessey. 3rd and 2. Why in God's name are we in 5 wide? You know what I mean? 3rd and 2 in the red zone. Man, give me double tight ends and let's run down here and let's see who want to play football. Period. Football will forever be a physical game. I don't care how many top receivers you have. I don't care how many top quarterbacks you have. Football is a game where you have to test the other man's will at the end of the day. And I didn't see that in our offense last year. I think we all got kind of hoodwinked with all the points and the glamour and the first round receivers and all the great things that come with high power offenses. But at the end of the day, when the competition is likewise, when the competition is similar, you got to be able to line up and run the ball, man. Murder ball. You got to be able to line up on 1st and 10 and run that thing downhill, off the 2, off the 1. These are holes on the line of scrimmage. Right side, left side. You got to be able to punish the man in front of you. I can promise you this. You ask any offensive lineman, and they'll tell you they love to run block. Pass blocking sucks for offensive linemen. They don't like to pass block because they get no glory from that. The run blocking is where they can bloody your nose. They can use their weight. They can use their skill. They can lean on you, run downhill constantly, murder ball. I cannot explain to people what it feels like to be on defense and a team is running the ball on you constantly. Man, it'll test your heart, man. It'll test your heart when you know they're coming at you. You see the lineman looking up at you. Man, it Either you got the dog in you or you got a cat in you, man, and it'll test you. Murder ball is just that. Line up, pound the ball, forget the finesse.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, it seems like the right now the team to have it right now is Georgia. Michigan for the most part has shown that they can do it. Well, we got to get back. Yeah, I agree. We got to get back to that level.
Yeah.
And again, when Tommy Rees, when he got hired, what did he say? We're gonna be running the football. We're not gonna shy away. We're gonna go back to We're gonna get back to that mentality defensively. For the most part, you bring in. I mean, Kevin Steele, what was he notorious for? Bringing a lot of aggression and having some of the highest volume of blitz packages that we've seen in college football over the last 30 years. So
exactly.
I'm extremely excited to see what happens. I can't wait because again, these players have talked about it. They seemed extremely ticked off. Not to mention the fact too that this is probably we talk about this every year that Alabama continues to get underestimated. Just the smallest hint from like a news article, like how Georgia, for the most part, people saying that they're going to win 3 wins.
It's at an all-time high now this year, though. It's at an all-time high.
Like really 3 wins? Okay, well, let me show you what happens. This is insane. No, but it's like this year, like no one has Alabama to that national championship standard. No one. I mean, for the most part, it's LSU and A&M and some of these other schools that are favored to win the West. So this could just be for the first time in Alabama history. Well, I'm sorry, not the first time in Alabama history, but the first time, at least during the Saban era since 2007, that this team has been doubted this much. And, that's motivation. And so Murder Ball could be back for this year. I'm extremely excited to see that. But kind of making that last transition forward, we want to talk to you guys about the defensive position groups, some of the battles that we're definitely looking forward to. We just talked about inside linebackers, but what are some other areas that you think, and maybe again more inside linebacker talk, but what do you think, Sean, as far as more position groups? Who do you think? What are you looking out for, and from that particular aspect?
Very important to me. Very important to me. I want to know who is going to be able to rush the passer. I want to know who is going to be able to rush the passer. Sure, we got Chris Braswell. Sure, we got all these other guys from the 8A game. I want to know. I'm not trying to look for the next wheel. I'm just not. I want to know who is going to step up and get me about 9 sacks this year. I need to know, man, because I saw Quindarius Robinson cause havoc in the 8A game. I saw this guy, tall, lean. First step is unbelievable. Great with his hands, young player. I want to know who's going to be the other guy on the other side of Chris Braswell. Now, I know everybody say Dallas Turner, but let me just be real. I'm a keep it real person. Kyle always says that this is not the podcast to spit roses. Let's keep it real. Dallas Turner had a down year last year. Dallas Turner did not play well against the run. It was a lot of teams who picked on Dallas's side to run the ball. Dallas didn't play very well against the run last year. If you watch Dallas, I don't know what it was, man. I don't know if the freshman hype, I don't know what it was, but I think Dallas is going to rebound this year. I think Dallas Turner will rebound this year because right now, I need to see somebody other than Chris Braswell put some pressure on that quarterback, like the freshman year Dallas. That's what I need. The freshman year Dallas Turner. We have got to find out who are going to be our pass rushers, man, because no matter what our coverage is on the backside, no matter how well these guys play in the secondary, no matter how well our middle linebackers play, with teams like Texas coming in here with a great quarterback, with teams like LSU, whose quarterback will tuck it and keep it, the way you nullify all of that is you kill the quarterback. You got to get in that backfield. You don't have to commit sacks. You don't have to get sacks. Just putting pressure on the quarterback will do its job. So that's the number one thing for me. I understand our secondary issues and the inexperience as we talked about. But for me, I want to know who's going to be that other pass rusher, who's going to be the dog, who's going to be not the next wheel, but who's going to be the next player of his own name.
I wonder about Dallas. I wonder a little bit, and it's not just the Dallas, but a lot of these other players over the last 4 to 5 years. I wonder, did they get a little bit too comfortable? Because, I mean, when Dallas Turner, I mean, we talk about freshman Dallas Turner, where he literally he had the best second half I've ever seen from a Bama player in the last 15 years. I mean, that was incredible to produce almost seven sacks. I think 6.5 to 7 sacks in the last 6 games alone. That's crazy. And especially against the competition that they played against that year was insane. But from the start, he was third string. Who was his guys? He had Drew Sanders.
Drew Sanders, yeah.
Yep, he had Drew Sanders for the most part. I mean, you had Chris Allen, who, by the way, Chris Allen was a monster against Miami in the first game until he ended up having that season injury.
Breaking
So
his foot,
I do wonder, was he too comfortable? Because who was behind him, right? It was guys that, for the most part, talented guys, but they didn't really show in camp that they were even belonged in the rotation. Like Chris Braswell was the only person that was really rotating heavily as far as having high volume. And Chris Braswell made the most of his opportunity. Chris Braswell, as far as pass rushing rate goes, was one of the best pass rushers in the country. He just didn't really get home of really sacking the quarterback. Those numbers could improve, and he put on a massive amount of weight so that he could definitely play a lot better on the edge. But Turner is he's interesting. He's very interesting to watch because that's a guy that should be able to step up for real.
I'm excited about Chris Braswell, man. I think Chris Braswell is about to have an outstanding year. I wish we could have seen more of that guy last year. You know, I'm excited about Jaheed Campbell. I know that guy plays middle linebacker, but he has a background at IMG of playing on the outside as well. So he has the height to play on the outside. Yeah, I'm excited for these guys, man. And, you know, I'm thinking Kevin Steele is going to put these guys in the right position to be successful. It disgusted me last year as many times as we rushed 3 and dropped 8. I've never seen a Bama defense play that, because in essence, to those that don't understand, that is pretty much saying that we'll give up anything in within 10 or 15 yards. We just don't want you to throw the ball over our head. That's what that defense is saying. We'll rush 3, we'll drop 8. I've never seen us drop 8 that many times in the whole time Saban has been in Alabama. And that disgusted me, man. Coaches like, what's the Tennessee coach? The young man from Tennessee who played at Oklahoma. That guy, Heupel. That guy is listen, that guy is a master creator on the offensive side of the ball. Those offenses that the Big 12 ran with those guys, they're not powerful offenses, but they're matchup offenses. And that's what he did to us. You know what I mean? I've never seen us being that safe, non-aggressive defense. I've never seen that before, man. And it got us beat a couple of times. Man. We gave up the most points to a team. We gave up the most yards to a team, I think, in the Saban era this year. And that disgusted me. That we weren't aggressive. We were more, let's just be safe. Let's make sure we don't let the ball go over our head. And, you know, that bothered me, man. That bothered me from a coaching standpoint. You know, I'm one of those guys with no disrespect to nobody. I'm not one of those guys that I like to hold Coach Saban accountable. You know, I don't blame Pete Golding when we play bad, and then when we play well, give the praise to Coach Saban. I'm one of those guys that understand from playing college ball that it's always the head coach's defense. Now, somebody else may be calling it, but that is the head coach's defense out there. That's not Pete Golding's defense. That was Nick Saban's defense out there that kept DeMarco Hellams on the hash versus Hyatt. That was Coach Saban's defense, and we couldn't stop it. So that concerns me, bro. That concerns me beyond all others. So, you know, I'm looking forward to see what we do schematic wise. I'm looking forward to see what we do aggression wise. I don't want to see us drop 8. I want to see us blitz. I'm willing to live and die by the blitz. I'm just one of those kind of guys. In this day and age of college football, with the pass happy quarterbacks, especially against that team that's coming to Tuscaloosa the second game, I want to go get the quarterback, man. I want the secondary to do their job, and I want to go get the quarterback, period.
I guess to kind of close this thing out, I guess, from a last final, question here is like, what are the expectations that you kind of have, at least from a defensive ranking standpoint, or just from an overall improvement standpoint from this defense, as far as helping this team out? What are your expectations from that aspect?
My expectations for this defense is for us to be the best defense that Coach Saban has had within the last, I'll say, 4 years. I think we have the talent on this defense. We have the coach on this defense. We have the aggressive style defensive coordinator that's not afraid to take a chance. I think this defense should be the best defense we've had since maybe 2020, since Mac Jones and them year. You know, my expectation is for us is to dominate on that side of the ball. My expectation is I want to see Jaheim Otis take the next step. I want to see that defensive line with Ibobi coming back. I want to see those guys take the next step. I want to get some of the younger players in there. My expectation is the young man from Pike County. I want to see him in there. I want to see him in there. I want to see all these young defensive linemen that we have. My expectation is these guys need to be on the field, get them in the game, dominate your box. I don't expect to see our defense giving up 50-plus points again. That disgusts me as a fan. And I know from former players that I know personally, talking to these guys, they were disgusted beyond all end. So my expectation is, forget the offense right now for me. I want to be better on the defensive side of the ball. Way better. I want to be tons better. In that Texas game, I know it's early, but with the familiarity between Sark and us, I think that'll let us know really kind of what the season's going to look like, even though Texas may possibly be the most talented team on our roster, in my opinion. I think what those guys bring back, I don't think we're going to see another offense quite as complete as Texas is. So my expectation, to answer your question, is my expectation is for us to give up way less points on the defensive side of the ball, way less passing yards on the defensive side of the ball. I expect to have a top 10 defense in all categories.
My expectation for this defense, I completely agree with you. This needs to be, I'm not going to sit up here and say this needs to be an all-time great defense, but we need to, I need to see improvement for this defense. I need to see hope moving forward, because if we are stagnant, even with Kevin Steele, and for the most part, the rumor is he's going to coach a year and then he's going to retire. Not too sure if that's going to be true. I have no idea if that's going to be true or not. However, I do like his experience. I do think that Kevin Steele can bring that mentality back for this team. I do think overall wise, I think the simplicity of this team, I think it should be a lot better. I think, again, one of the biggest concerns was the fact that we were too complex. We were too exotic, right? There was to a point this will always bring me nightmares. The fact that in the LSU game, we ran a defensive set where we only had one defensive lineman. Yeah. One defensive lineman. Exactly. And I could not believe what I was watching. I'm like, what is this? So murder ball, like we talked about a little bit earlier, I do expect that to be back. I do expect that we bring that mentality, that we do bring a lot of confidence, and that we bring that aggression back. Because right now Georgia has it. I mean, Georgia has it, and LSU is on the way to being that, because their defensive line group, they have a bunch of NFL draft picks. Perkins is one of the best linebackers in the SEC. Yeah. That's a team that has a lot of confidence moving forward. So this defense, I have huge expectations for. I think that we have a lot of young guys that are going to step up. And listen, like we talked about before, this team is doubted. Yeah. For the first time in a long time, this team is doubted. They're not even really projected to making the playoffs. So my expectations, again, like I said before, this defense really needs to be good. And overall wise, I'm excited to see what happens. But yeah, guys, we're going to close it right here, guys. Make sure you guys like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Again, we appreciate the opportunity that we're actually on here in this platform as fans, so that we can talk to you guys about football. Hopefully we can be on with you guys a little bit longer. But Sean, any last words you want to say?
Yes. Finally, just want to thank everybody for tapping in, man. I want to thank Kyle. I want to thank yourself, Jerry. Have a great time just talking football, man. Just a Bama fan that want to see us do well. And we need to I hope the coaches understand, man, that we need the old Coach Saban back. We thank you guys. Roll Tide, and tap in.
Yo, so tonight we had JERICK, who's up in Buffalo, longtime Alabama Crimson Tide football fan, all the way down to Sean up in Huntsville. What we're going to do this season, we're going to bring more fans to our platform right here, Bama Football on YouTube. So definitely hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I think when we look to the Alabama platform, when we look to the people who are talking about Alabama football, one of my thought process was, let's go out and bring the most educated fans, the guys who are calling into the show, and let's give them a platform and an opportunity to voice their discussion about Alabama football, right? I mean, you just don't want to hear from one particular person. I think JERICK and Sean have proved themselves over the last couple of years about their football IQ. So I wanted to bring their intellect here to Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys more than you know. And like James said right here, good show. It was a great show. Listen to these guys break it down. JERICK was playing point tonight. Sean's our analyst. These guys do a fantastic job. So we really appreciate you guys. I'll be back tomorrow night. Quick note for you guys. So Wednesday, we have Coach Saban. He's doing a media opportunity. He will not, it's at Bryant-Denny Stadium. He's going to be talking about Nick's kids. And then on Thursday, Alabama has their first official practice. We'll have B-roll, and we will talk to Coach Saban after that. That'll be around 5 p.m. Central Time. We'll bring that right here to Bama Football on YouTube. And Alabama starts their 2023 season right here in beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm the guy in Tuscaloosa, so I'm here, and you'll be getting it all from me along with these guys. So really appreciate it. These guys did a fantastic job, and hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. For JERICK from Buffalo, Sean from Huntsville, Kyle from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next video. Good night.